Hi, I'm Perry Atkinson, General Manager here at theDove. Hey, check out our other videos and check out our website at thedove.us. Welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson. Delighted and honored to have back with us today our good friend Laurie Cardoza-Moore. She's the founder and president of pro-Israel Christian organization Proclaiming Justice to the Nations. And she's going to be sharing with us today something you probably don't even know that is going on, and about a kidnapping of 3 young Israeli men and the status of them and what this all means. Hi, Laurie. How you doing?
Good morning, Perry. I'm doing well, thank you. I was listening to the news segment just before I came on the show, and about the whole IRS scandal and how, golly, I lost all my emails and I had computer crash, and I love how Lois Lerner says that, but I have a solution for them.
What's that?
If she lost all of them, they should just call NSA, because NSA has everybody's emails.
Well, we were talking about that. I think we get 2 16-year-old kids to go in there and find them.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's pathetic what this government is doing, and it never ends. Can we hurry up and get past this administration? Will the United States survive? Wow. And of course, today's story, will Israel survive? And I appreciate you so much having me on the show, Perry, to talk about this issue, because you're exactly right. Hardly anybody knows about this. There's very little news coverage on this story. And of course, now that there have been three Palestinians who have been killed, Abbas is calling for condemnation against Israel because they're going in and wreaking havoc in these communities. It was only 10 days out from this whole Palestinian and Hamas terrorist unity government that we have an abduction of these 3 young men, one of which, Perry, is an American citizen. Of course, in that, just a great example of what we are fighting here are 3 young men, 2 Israeli, 1 U.S. citizen, and they are facing the struggle that our countries are facing as a whole with these radical Islamic extremists. And wow. Of course, the signing of the whole Hamas unity government is pathetic because our government has agreed to this and has even encouraged it. And, you think it's no surprise. And now Abbas is coming out publicly condemning the kidnapping. Well, Mahmoud, you can't have it both ways. Yeah. Either you're against the terrorists. Why, if he condemned it, then why has he not dissolved the whole peace agreement? Yeah, it's words with no action. Where are they? Do we know? Do we know where they're located? They still do not know. Prime Minister Netanyahu did come out yesterday stating that they're finding more information. They're getting closer, but there still is no concrete evidence. They've arrested, the last time I checked, over 300 individuals for questioning. 40 have been detained. The people in the community, there's an interesting movement happening amongst mothers in the land, and PJTN is working to try to collaborate with them and help bring their story to the world. And we're going to have a petition up on our website at pjtn.org. But in the interim, those of you who tweet, I encourage you to go to hashtag Mothers Unite or hashtag, what is the other one? Save Our Sons. Okay. And Save Our Sons, SOS Israel. So that's a way that we can help generate and raise awareness, because you're right, Perry, the media isn't covering this. In fact, Ban Ki-moon at the United Nations, I serve as special envoy at the UN. So I've contacted the Ban Ki-moon's office to get more information, but on the 19th or on the 18th, he came out with a statement condemning the abduction of these 3 young men. Well, yesterday, his deputy spokesman came out backtracking on that, and he basically stated that the United Nations cannot confirm the abduction of these 3 young men. We have information that one of those young men used his cell phone to call the security guard in Kiryat Arba, which is in close to Hebron. It's like the next town over. Contacted and left a message, or he called and got the security guy on the phone and said that they had been kidnapped, and then the phone went dead. So we all know the evidence is right there. And for the deputy spokesman of the United Nations to come out and say, well, we can't confirm that they've been abducted, it's absolutely ludicrous. After the Secretary General said that we condemn this. I mean, it's pathetic what's happening. I have also contacted the Secretary of State's office to find out, what is the administration doing? I've been scanning the internet this morning, looking to see if there's been anything else taken, any action taken by our government. Absolutely none. So I'm encouraging your listeners, if they will make phone calls to their congressmen and their senators and demand that something be done about this. And while they're calling, Perry, we've got to talk about the slaughter of Christians in the Middle East.
Right.
Christians are being persecuted. Israel is being persecuted. We're both fighting this war together. This affects both of us, both of our countries. And if we as Christians don't speak out, who will on our behalf? I mean, it's disturbing to see what's happening.
A couple things here quickly, Laurie. What do we know who's behind the kidnapping? Who's responsible for it?
Well, all the evidence points to Hamas.
Okay.
So we're not surprised, because Hamas said they would never recognize, even when they were signing, the ink wasn't even wet or dry on the agreement that they signed with the Palestinian Authority. And they said, we will never stop attacking Israel. We will continue the tirade. And of course, it was 10 days, only 10 days after the signing of that agreement. And here we have 3 young men who've been abducted. So Perry, we got to pray for these guys.
Oh, boy.
Because these are our kids. I have a 16-year-old son. I can relate to how these mothers feel, how Israel. And if you scan YouTube and you go on the internet, you will see these incredible prayer gatherings happening in Israel for the return of these young men. And these same prayer gatherings need to happen in the United States. This is Christians and Jews standing together against our ancient enemy. And
well, let me encourage our viewers and listeners to do just that. Get a hold of your congressmen and senators and ask them to get involved in this and get the administration off their other side and get going on this. Laurie, back to the persecution of Christians and Jews. With all of the craziness happening in Iraq, what's the spillover effect on that there in the Middle East on persecution with Christians?
Well, you know, it's interesting because back in September, I met with Senator Corker, Bob Corker, who is our senator here in Tennessee. He's a ranking member of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, and I met with his staff September 30th to address these issues with regards to the chaos that is ensuing in the Middle East. The Christians are being slaughtered as a result of the policies of this administration. This administration is not going out and establishing democracies, Western-style democracies. They are establishing Muslim Brotherhood terrorist groups and regimes. And I inquired about what Senator Corker was going to do as a ranking member of this specific committee who represents the belt buckle of the Bible Belt, what they were going to do. And I got a letter a month later saying, you know, Senator Corker had sent a letter to President Obama and asking him to deal with the issue of the persecution of Christians in Egypt. I have heard nothing more. Wow. This man, and it wasn't just, I didn't go to him just about Egypt. I went to him about what's happening to Christians in Tunisia, in Libya, in Syria, in Egypt, and how this is also because of the policies of this administration. They have so destabilized the whole region that not only are Christians running for their lives, now we're seeing the fallout on Israel. Israel is standing out there alone. And they can't even count on their ally, the United States of America, anymore because of the policies of this administration. Because we're not going to support allies who are Western-style democracies. We're going to instead shore up Muslim Brotherhood groups. We saw that with the release of the Taliban members and a defector who is a Muslim Brotherhood member. Of course, our loyalty is to the Muslim Brotherhood or the Muslims. It is not to Christians.
Well, I can't help but think that this administration now has certainly proven that it's not for Israel. has done nothing to support Israel. It's done everything to support the Islamic terrorists in this throughout the region. It's almost you can't write this story. You can't even think it up.
No, absolutely. And Perry, another thing for all of us to really contemplate and think about is if this administration isn't going to rescue Pastor Saeed in Iran.
Right.
If this administration is not going to come to the aid of Christians, then this administration is no ally of Christians either. That's very frightening. And unless we as Christians, we're sitting in an election year, Perry. This is so critical. Mm-hmm. Every election cycle, we say, oh, this is the most important election, coming up. Perry, this is the most important election. If we don't take back control of this government and start putting elected officials in places of leadership that are going to uphold our Constitution and uphold our rights as any citizen and protect Christians, Jews, all people of faith, if this administration is not going to do that, there is no hope for the free world. In fact, there's a vacuum that's been created. Mm-hmm. And I was listening to, I think it was Caroline Glick who made the comment that that the United States was the country that ensured and protected human rights around the world. We were the ones that would stand up and speak out. We were the ones who led the charge, and other nations looked to us for leadership. But we are no longer those leaders. A vacuum has been created, and evil and wickedness is filling that vacuum. If there was ever a time that we as Christians have to rise up, it's now.
All right, Laurie, pjtn.org is Laurie's website. You can go there and get a lot of information and get involved in the things that she's very concerned about. In the meantime, what do you want us to do on these kidnappings?
Call your congressmen and senators today and let them know you want them to take action to secure the release of these boys. This administration agreed with this Hamas and Palestinian Authority unity government, and we need the United States government to step in and demand that these boys be brought home.
All right. Laurie, you're a delight. Thank you. Let's stay in touch, and we'll see how this goes, and we'll stay on it, too, at this end.
Thank you, Perry. You guys keep up the great work. God bless you all.
Yeah, God bless you. All right, we'll be right back.